if you've got a retractable hose reel that doesn't retract all the way back in, stick around because I'm going to show you guys how to fix it. Let's get straight into it. Let's do this. So in the last video that I did, I had a lot of people asking questions. How do you fix a retractable hose reel that no longer retracts back into its housing? Lucky for you guys, I had a spare one in the garage. And as you can tell, pretty much the last 2 meters or so, it just simply doesn't want to wind in. Even if I try and force it inside, it simply doesn't want to go back in. So I'm going to show you guys just how easy it is to fix. The first thing we need to do is lay this one here on its side, and we're going to pull the hose all the way back out. So I've pulled out all the hose as far back as I can get to. Now usually there's a cover up here on top, but you just simply pop that one there off. If we have a look inside, you can see we've got a little bracket here that holds the end of the hose in. So we need to undo that section there. So now we've got the bracket off. Next thing we need to do is remove our top section of the hose here. Now depending on the style that you've got, you notice in my last video it had a crimped fitting on there, which made it very difficult. I had to cut it and then put a joiner on there. This one here has got a push fitting, however it's very, very difficult and tight to actually release that on the inside. So an easy way around this one here is if we just undo the back, because it's a standard garden hose fitting. So we'll just undo that back section. A little bit dark in there. We're going to pull this one here back, and then we should be able to pull that hose straight out. Just like that, so a regular garden hose fitting. Now we're going to actually stop for a second and remember the exact position that everything's in. So if we have a look, we've got our garden hose connection sitting right here, or at least it was, and it's got one full loop before it actually comes out. So we're just going to remember the exact position that it's in at the moment. What we're going to do now is you'll also notice that this particular model here on the Holman has a little bracket on the side here that probably no one's ever noticed before. It's got one on each side. You pull this one here down and you want to lock this one here into place. So you'll notice there's a couple little holes on the side. We need to move this one here around so that we can actually lock it in place. A little bit hard to do with one hand, so I'm going to drop this one here on its side. So once again, we're going to take this section here, we're going to pull back on our mechanism, and we're going to just drop that one there in place. That will hold the reel in place and stop it from actually winding while we do our work here. Now the way this one here works is there's a spring on the inside. Probably I should have mentioned this to begin with. If you've got absolutely no tension at all in the hose reel and it's not winding back at all, then most likely the actual spring itself has snapped, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare to try and even fix it if it's possible. And I wouldn't even suggest opening it up because you probably won't be able to put it back together the way it was. Unfortunately, you might have to replace it at that point, but in this case here, we've got tension. It does do its job. However, the last meter or so simply doesn't want to wind in. So this one here, I'm going to show you guys how to fix that. We've got a spring on the outside here, which is on the outer drum, and it's basically just a big metal coil on the inside, and that's where it gets its tension. So at the moment, we don't have enough tension to be able to wind that last meter or two in. So an easy little trick around it. I'm going to have to put this on a tripod. But now that we've got this all loose, this whole hose here, what we're able to do at this point is we're able to manually turn the actual wheel itself. So if we pull this wheel here, obviously this one here is clipped in, but once I release this clip, we're going to be able to crank that back, and that'll allow more tension on it. So I'm going to actually put a little texter mark here, or a marking right here, so I know exactly the point where I want it to stop again. And we're going to wind this back an extra complete reel, and we're going to hopefully be able to get that extra tension out of it. So now we're ready to start adding tension to our coil. What we're going to do is hold on to the actual wheel, remembering that this is pretty much just a DIY way to get it working again. There's no actual instructions online regarding how to add tension back on because it's not designed to be done like this. What we're going to do is pull that bar out, hold on to the wheel so it doesn't retract automatically. You can see there it wants to spring back. It's automatically going to want to spring back this way. So we're going to add tension by pulling it the opposite direction. It's a little bit hard to do, but we basically just have to hold on to it. I might actually mark it from now so I don't forget. So hopefully you guys can see that marking there. What we're going to do is wind it one complete turn all the way around, and then we're going to lock it back in this position here. So hold on to it and start cranking it back. it's a very, very tight job in there. Very hard to actually show you guys what we're doing, but basically I'm pulling it, holding on again with my other hand, putting my hand in a bit further, and then pulling it all the way back again. All the way until we can actually see that marking again, which is right there. What I might actually do, you can see that marking right there, I might actually give it one extra turn, make sure that we haven't, make sure that we've got enough. So we'll keep going again. Alright, so we're back on our marking right here. We're going to flip that bar over, lock it back in place, and now we've got enough tension back onto the spring, and we're going to reinstall our hose again. So now we can put everything back the way it was in the exact same position that we started with. We've got our fitting facing us, one wrap all the way around, and it simply slots back in. So we're going to take our hose, very, very hard to see through here, that's probably a good view right there. We're going to slide this one here straight over the top, push it in as far as you can, and then we're going to take that little locking nut that should still be on the hose, and we're going to re-screw that one there back on as well. Alright, once we've got that one there done, we can take our bracket, reinstall this. So once you've got everything back the way it was, we're going to pull on the hose just a little bit, take off that tension so we can undo our little clamp here that's holding everything in place, or that locking arm. Alright, now it's a moment of truth. We're going to wind this whole reel back in. So now we've got the hose reel retracting all the way back in the way it should. Now there's probably other methods out there to do it. However, there's no instructions on how to do it. It's not actually designed to have the spring retensioned, and there's no other information online. This is my own little creative way to get it back in the working order. Hopefully this video is going to help you guys out, but if you've got another way, let me know in the comment section below. As always, like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching Bill's How To.